Aatbirds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need.
Quick, he's gonna go. What a give it to Smith, and they stop him again. So back. He looks, fires for the end zone, intercepted, the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown, not where, midfield, he's gonna go, Deshaun Jackson. He steps up, he's hit, and falls forward, and he fumbles the football, and the Eagles have it, it's one, and the Eagles win.
It's all birds, all the time.
Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. We are live for our NFC Championship post-game show where your Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl bound. That's right, y'all.
Super Bowl!
Super Bowl. That's right. Your boy went out and already got himself an NFC Championship shirt. I decided not to climb poles. Instead, I went out and bought some merchandise. We are live as of right now. The AFC Championship, there's about 13 minutes left. So we don't know who our opponents in the Super Bowl are. And I'm going to be honest, Johnny, after watching this team today, it really doesn't matter. I personally feel like this game was going to be the biggest test that we faced, and they passed with flying colors.
Yeah, and I still expect the Eagles to be underdogs against any of the AFC teams.
Bring it.
That's just what they're going to do. But what you said, looking at this game, Eagles get the ball first. They go right down the field. Of course, you did have the Devontae Smith catch that wasn't a catch, but hey, there's a reason they give you challenge flags. You should have thrown it, and it is what it is. Eagles rush on line. They got the run play in. Hey.
And Devontae Smith knew enough that the call was close enough that he went, no, get to the line right now.
Let's go. And then they're able to get to Brock Purdy, and that Hassan Reddick was just absolute game wrecker. And he's been doing it I'll even say the last half of the season, he's been even more of a threat that he's been earlier in the season. And him doing that, I knew right away. Once I saw it and I saw the first replay, I said, that's a fumble. That is a fumble.
We lost our minds.
And I didn't expect him to go out with the elbow injury and everything. And I could see that if it's a nerve thing, you can't grip the ball. And they bring in Josh Johnson, the well-traveled Josh Johnson, and he was just
NFL teams.
Yeah, he was just no match. And
no.
I bet you they're kicking themselves, wishing that Garoppolo was, healthy enough to play. But then he goes out after Sue hits him and he bounces his head off the turf. Then Purdy has to come back in, and they just basically do gadget runs the rest of the game. And I know people are going to say, "Oh, you beat a 49ers team that they got injured and all that." It doesn't matter, because there's been times in history, in sports, that's what happens. You face, adversity, you face different situations, you have to overcome it and win the game. And
right.
The Eagles knew that the situation that the 49ers were in, and they attacked, and they kept the pedal to the metal, and they won this ball game 31-7.
Yeah, and let's be really clear about something here. Whether or not Brock Purdy stayed in the game and whether or not he was healthy is irrelevant. Speaking of irrelevant, he was a rookie quarterback. He was the third string quarterback for this team. He was facing an absolutely ferocious Eagles defense. And you can say whatever you want that, all the Eagles had to do was beat, Daniel Jones, Brock Purdy. Okay, but they did. And they didn't just beat him a little bit. They beat him handily. Because what they also did is they shut down Christian McCaffrey. The one run was very evident that we still don't know how to tackle. But again, then the rest of the game, they shut that down. Deebo Samuel, non-factor. George Kittle, non-factor. Nick Bosa, non-factor. They shut down all these players that were supposed. Did Brandon Ayuk have a catch today? Very few players had catches today because they didn't throw the ball. Yeah. And then you go to the Kyle Shanahan game plan, which was, we're just not going to throw the ball at all, which led right to the Eagles' hand because we can stop the run really well. And we started loading up the box. And that's where you saw Sue sit on Josh Johnson. Everything about this, and don't get me wrong, the Eagles did not play offensively as strong as they have. I think that Jalen Hurts looked a little bit off, but he got the job done. When he had to run the ball, he did take a couple, 1 or 2 later hits than I would have liked. They relied heavily on the run game. But you know what? Not only did they win, once again, they won handily. They won soundly. There was outside of the first half where they just kind of let them stay in the game. The second half was not even a competition.
And I think a lot of things, looking at this game, this is by far the best defense the Eagles are going to play.
Correct.
The 49ers have the best linebacker tandem in the NFL, in Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. Those guys are all over the field making plays. Travarius Ward had a heck of a game.
They had a great game shutting down our receivers.
So they had a great game plan. They also were they had number 1 rush defense or number 2
number
rush
1 in the
defense.
run, number 20 in the pass. So in theory, the game plan should have been pass the ball a lot, but Jalen Hurts wasn't exactly on. He did enough to get the job done, but he wasn't exactly on. So what did you do? You relied on the run game.
And I think a lot of it also has to do with there was 15-mile-an-hour winds. So it was a little bit of a windy game. There was a little bit of wet weather in the beginning. But again, this team found a way to win. They used Miles Sanders. They used Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott. They used the plethora of running backs like they did in the Giants game. And then once they got that big lead and they knew, hey, they're probably not going to be able to throw the ball and do a lot of things. There's no reason to have Hurts going back there trying to throw the ball all over the place. You're going to run the ball. You're going to run the clock out. And they were able to do that. Some short passes here and there.
We barely had to run the ball because the 49ers ran the ball and killed their own clock.
Yeah. So for me, it's, this team through everything that they've been through. And I think the one thing is watching them, at the end of the game, when the game finished up, they know there's one more. And yes, they, we're happy to get that and everything, but they know the job is not done. There is one more step, and that is in Arizona to finish the job. But, for me, they had a hell of a game plan. And I'll give Jonathan Gannon his flowers because I gave him a lot of crap, especially last year with the type of scheme that was being run, but of course the players and everything. And early on in the season, there was some frustration, but this guy has been able to take that basically step to the next level. And I know he doesn't play. It's the players that make him look better. But again, the players are looking bad. It's on his shoulders. So I think you have to give him credit when the players are playing well. I'm not sure how many sacks did they have today. I know they had 3 last time I looked. I want to take a look because the Eagles were 3rd in history in all-time sacks, postseason and regular season. So let me go and see how many sacks they had today just to see. So Hassan Reddick had 2. Javon Hargrave had 1. So they had 3. So they're up to 78 sacks.
And that was where the team that barely passed the ball. So you didn't even get a chance to key in on the quarterback.
That is true. The Eagles held them to 164 total yards, 83 passing, 81 rushing, 3.6 yards per play. The Eagles only had 269 yards, 121 passing, 148 rushing, 3.8 yards per play, 25 first downs.
Yep.
They held 49ers 2 of 8 in third down, and they were 5 of 15. Not the greatest thing, but they were 3 for 3 on fourth downs. 70 plays to 45 plays. So you're going to see a lot. A lot there in terms of the time of possession was the drastic thing because Eagles
ran the ball, right?
Exactly. 37-22. And that's one thing that the 49ers want to do is they want to hold that time of possession. They want to be able to, control the game that way. But in here, Mr. Bauer, he's back.
Mr. Bauer.
What is good, gentlemen? Go
hey,
Birds.
Buddy. Go Birds.
Full bounds. And I just want to say one thing. Oh, sorry. Volume is down.
What are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
Had to bring that back. I love it.
R.I.P. Big Mike.
Yeah.
Gentlemen,
we think.
Yeah, we're just gonna assume at this point. So
yeah, I think we just have to.
No, and I think that you looked at this matchup and we went in detail with it, right? We said, Lane Johnson versus Nick Bosa, that was going to be an important matchup. Lane Johnson clearly won that matchup. We said that, Brock Purdy was going to have to do certain things. He obviously didn't do those certain things. We were going to have to be able to shut Christian McCaffrey down. They did. I mean, I predicted this game was going to be a pretty big smackdown. I did. I said, what was my score? 27-14?
Yes.
That was being too generous. And I think that, you could say certain things like, oh, well, the 49ers got called for a bunch of penalties that weren't penalties. They were penalties. They would have been penalties on us. There were penalties on them. You could say it was biased refereeing because that's one of the narratives coming out. You could say, but the 49ers made mistake after mistake. They looked as an unprepared team where the Eagles looked highly prepared. They took care of business. You had Shanahan losing his mind on the sideline. You had just a team that wasn't ready to play. They were not ready to play because we popped them in the mouth early and they didn't recover. They got brocked out in the first round, if you will.
They beat themselves. Mike, what are your feelings on the game?
I got to be honest with you guys. The last two playoffs games here were not the most exciting games. They were over pretty early, but that's kind of the way we want it, right? They're wins. Right. Yeah, I agree with Chip. They say what you want. They're penalties. The Devontae Smith catch was a catch because it was not overturned.
Exactly.
And all right, so take the 7 off the board. We would have won 24-7, whatever.
Right.
People need to get over themselves. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant for a reason. Josh Johnson got a concussion. He left the game. We beat who is in front of us. We're going to the Super Bowl, man. Like, what else can we do?
And you looked at this matchup and you listened to what everybody said. These teams were evenly matched. It was going to be a great matchup. But now that the Eagles dominated, now it's the Eagles have had one of the easiest runs to the Super Bowl in NFL history. Shut up.
Hold up.
You cannot continue to change the narrative. The Eagles at some point deserve the respect for being the excellent team that they are.
I saw somebody say easiest road to the Super Bowl. They're like a Giants team that was red hot.
Yeah.
A 49ers team.
It was red hot.
12 wins in a row.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. When you get to the divisional round and you get to the championship round, there is no easy punch outs, man. Like you have to step up, you have to play better, and that's what they did. Did you guys sorry I got here a little bit late. Did you guys touch on that Jonathan Gannon is coming back next year?
I didn't touch on that yet. I did say that, he deserves his flowers. I gave him a lot of crap because of last year and everything, but
so
yeah.
Here's the thing. I've been really hard on Jalen Hurts. I've been really hard on Jonathan Gannon. I am going to apologize in 2 weeks when we win the Super Bowl. And here's why. If I do it now, that's bad juju.
Yep.
So I'm going to hate for 2 weeks, and then I'll come back on this podcast and I will apologize formally. Until then.
And that's fair because there is still work to be done. As Jalen Hurts himself said, there is one more game.
One more.
There's one more game. And I'll be honest, I watched Jalen Hurts very closely today because there was an attempt to rely on the passing game, and he definitely looked very similar to some of his old Jalen Hurtsness. Like his feet weren't set, he was very jumpy in the pocket, and I'm trying to figure out if that has something to do with the fact that he was going against Nick Bosa, and he knew that time clock in his head was going to collapse pretty quickly, the pocket. But either way, I can nitpick and say all these things. Jalen Hurts got the job done.
He did.
He did what he had to do to get the win, which is what leaders do, which is why he's going to be the youngest quarterback in NFL history to start a Super Bowl game. The youngest quarterback in NFL history to start a Super Bowl game. And in 2 weeks, he's going to be the youngest quarterback in NFL history to win a Super Bowl game.
Did Miles Sanders get hurt? Just out of curiosity. Johnny, you and I were texting, and I know you said that they were rotating their backs, but the last, or are they keeping him fresh for the Super Bowl? Like, do you have any? Because I hardly saw him in the second half.
I don't know if they were trying to keep him a little bit fresher. Throwing Gainwell, who I'll give him credit. He's been looking really, really good. Being able to use different change of pace, different backs. But I know when kind of started to get out of hand, they pulled Lane because Driscoll was in there. They pulled Kelsey. They kind of pulled everybody except for Mailata and Sayamalu. That they pulled basically everybody else just because you don't want to have a late injury that goes over into the Super Bowl. But I don't know. I didn't see him limp or anything like that, so I don't think he was hurt.
He looked fine. And look, you know what, Johnny, like you're talking about. Sorry if I sound weird. I'm a little congested, fighting a little something. The fact of the matter is that for the last 2 games in the playoffs, we've been having our backups in.
Yeah.
At the end of the game.
We've been able to put our backups into an NFC championship and divisional round game.
That really says something to how Nick Sirianni prepares his team and how Jonathan Gannon. And you know what? Look, I'll just give a minor apology. Like, man, the 49ers were supposed to be the #1 defense in the league, and
we hung 31 on them.
we did. I mean, like, say what you want, and I think D'Amico Ryans is going to be a fantastic
I
head
think
coach
he
in
gets
the
the
NFL.
Houston job, actually.
Well, it's known that he's getting the Houston job, which is why Jonathan Gannon will stay in Philadelphia, because he was supposed to get the Houston job.
Hey, look, you know what? We got to think about it. Johnny, you and I were texting a couple weeks ago. We're talking about Vic Fangio as the new defensive coordinator, who I think he went to Miami. And
He went to Miami.
Possibly a new offensive coordinator. There's a possibility that we win the Super Bowl and we retain all of our coordinators.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
Unheard of.
You keep your starting quarterback. They could re-sign Miles Sanders. I don't know. I mean, like, the possibilities are endless here, and I'm excited.
I think at this point you do re-sign Miles Sanders, especially after how he showed up in the first half.
Nothing to lose.
But listen, we got 2 weeks to break down all this stuff. Today, like, I want to talk about the fact that they just slapped, and I like the word slapped, because I would like to spend a couple minutes talking about the classlessness of San Francisco between Joey Bosa coming in and talking shit to fans.
Hey, do you know, I watched that and I saw that and I said, I know who Joey Bosa reminds me of. He reminds me of Squidward. The big ass nose and the
poopy attitude.
Yeah.
I like the comment. You know, you put the shirt on the Rocky statue, you get the beat down like the Vikings did. You saw, you know, George Kittle running his mouth and they played that before the game in the player meeting last night. You saw them screwing around with AJ Brown warming up.
Did you see him come out? Did you see him come out with the boombox again? Like
with the boombox, they did all these things. You know, Greenlaw. I think the Greenlaw thing is getting blown out of proportion. I mean, the momentum had clearly stopped, and he was trying to punch the ball out. I understand. The optics
twice is fine.
The optics weren't great. I'm going to be honest, but the Trent Williams play was disgusting. And good on the Eagles for not stooping to their level and keeping our guys on the sideline. Why? Because we had something to play for, and those guys were going home.
No, you're right. That was, I don't know why Kayvon Wallace even got thrown out. He didn't do anything. He was the one that was yanked back and thrown.
If anything, throw him out to get him checked, because at the bare minimum, it could have been a horse collar tackle that Trent Williams performed on Kayvon Wallace.
The best thing was if you watch it from, you know, the TV view and you take a look at Ndamukong Suh, once that happened, you see him just all of a sudden.
You know, he got in his face, and Trent Williams went, I don't want this.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, you're going to stop.
This is the line where I crossed.
It was.
I mean, that was just look. The game was so out of hand at that point, and I'm not sure where the anger comes from, because we don't really have a rivalry with the 49ers. We don't have a lot of common players. We don't have really anything to do with the 49ers. So was that just the 49ers going, wah? And this is where we're going to show our fight, since we didn't show it on the field. This is where we're going to show our fight to make it seem like we gave a crap this game. Because the 49ers, once Brock Purdy took that hit, the 49ers folded. Completely and totally folded. And we actually kept them in the game for a while in the rest of that first half. They folded until the fourth quarter, when the game was already over, and then they just started to be fighters.
Yeah. No, you're right. And the thing about it that's, you know, just awesome to watch is the Eagles are able to, yes, they struggled, and then all of a sudden they have a 14-15 play drive after they went, you know, 3 straight drives of not really doing much of anything after they scored the first drive. Then they go and they just go right down the field, 14, 15, I think 15 or 16 plays. And then of course they get the fumble recovery, and then they score again before half. So, you know, it's great to see this, the way this team is just built and the way that they're so focused and laser focused. Hey, I don't remember an Eagles team, you know, this focused. Yeah, you had the Super Bowl team, but
I think that
it's awesome to say.
Part of the focus, and you guys know that I've been saying this for a couple weeks now, the parallels of how this has felt compared to 2017 are crazy. The disrespect handed every single which way. Your quarterback isn't good. This player isn't good. That player isn't good. This coach isn't. The parallels and the team rallying around going, you know what? We know what we are. You're going to find out, And at some point, you will put the respect on the name, because you and I, we know that as soon as we won this game, as soon as Brock Purdy went down, that was the reason why the Eagles won. Not because they knocked him out of the game, not because they dominated the game. It was because Brock Purdy went down. Brock Purdy was not beating this Eagles team. When we play the Bengals, who knows what that storyline will be? When we play the Kansas City Chiefs, who knows what that storyline will be? But it will not be the Eagles are going to win, because it's going to be the other team lost because of this.
Stop. You know the storyline if they play the Chiefs. Don't be.
We know all the storylines. Here's the thing: as
it
podcasters, I'm hoping that the Chiefs are the winners in this game eventually, simply because the shows will write themselves.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. But wrapping up this game, Eagles win. They're going to the Super Bowl. Magnificent to see. All those
beautiful.
The best thing about it, I happened to see a 49ers fan who was, I guess, complaining about his buddies at halftime. I had to run out and get myself, I had to get a half a gallon of milk. Okay. So I ran out, and there was a 49ers fan, and he was complaining about Eagles fans. I said, "Oh, what about Eagles fans?" No, not you. I just, and he started complaining. I said, "Don't worry." I said, I was in your situation back in the early 2000s when my team went to the championship game multiple times and they couldn't do it and they couldn't win. So I said, I feel your pain.
We said the same thing.
You're going to lose.
And I think the thing for me, like looking at this whole thing overall, is, I look at the complaining that happens every which way. Like even Micah Parsons tweeting out like, "Oh, I would have made that tackle," and NBC Philly jumping on him, going, "Really, from your couch?" I saw a Cowboys fan on my timelines post something about like, "Oh, well, we didn't let McCaffrey run all over us," and I responded back. I had a low moment. I'm like, "Your point?" Because we're playing, you're not. I just think that looking at this team, people are going to continue to doubt, and that's fine. Let them doubt, because it's not even the underdog thing anymore. This Eagles team is so much better than the 2017 Super Bowl winning team.
Better defense.
So much better.
Yeah. And the best part too? They have the 10th overall pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Is there no 32nd pick this year?
No. Miami's got forfeited with their I guess the whole thing with Brady and stuff and all that.
That's because I keep seeing that the Eagles get mocked the 31st pick. So last time we were getting picked the last pick in the first round, we won the Super Bowl. So, and one thing that I'm seeing on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is talking about how garbage of a fan base Eagles fans are. Like, what did we do to you? Like, we only really hate the Cowboys. I don't hate 49ers or their fans or really any other fan base. Like, you want to talk about a garbage fan base? Have you ever met a Raiders fan? And for that matter, have you ever talked to a Steelers fan? Because they're some of the most obnoxious people on the planet.
Wait, how about when Trent Williams got ejected from the game? I was screaming at the cameraman to please keep it on so we could see him get pelted with stuff. He didn't get one thing thrown at him. Not one. The Eagles fans matured, but they don't say anything. My other favorite thing that I saw is that it has been, some people have been waiting for a quarter of a century to finally see Dallas in a Super Bowl.
And he is.
Dallas Goedert.
Let's hear it for Dallas in the Super Bowl.
Dallas Goedert, that is.
That's right.
And yes, as Adam put down there, Kellen Moore is out as offensive coordinator. He's going to be the scapegoat for Dak Prescott sucking. But we'll talk about that when there's, other things to talk about. Right now, the only thing worth talking about is the fact that the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, and in about 4.5 minutes, we might know who they're playing.
What's the score on that game? I don't have
20s. Yeah. It is 20s with 4:40 left on my screen.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, so
what do you guys think?
Again, Eagles win, going to the Super Bowl. So, yeah, it should be fun. We'll see who they go up against.
Put some respect on it. NFC champion.
How did you get? Oh, that's the Super Bowl 52. Show.
No, it's not.
No.
I went out and got it.
He went out and got it.
They have that out.
That's why he was late.
I went to Dick's. I waited for an hour and a half.
You would
and got it.
Yeah, chipped up like Dick's.
Only when they have what I want.
So my dad's wife works for Majestic, so she's just going to get shirts for me and my wife. So I don't have
Aren't
to
you
go
lucky?
anywhere. I am lucky. I'm a lucky man. Hey, listen, my birthday weekend, Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. You gotta love it, man. Like all good things, it's a good time to be an Eagles fan right now. And I feel really confident that whatever team we face, the Bengals, the Chiefs, I think we can do this. Joe Burrow and the Chiefs scare me a little bit because Burrow's got ice water in his veins. But Mahomes, they got a bunch of second bit wide receivers. He's banged up. They can't really run the ball very well. Travis Kelce scares me.
Neither of these teams scare me, Mike.
They have their opportunities.
Sure, but the Eagles' toughest opponent was today.
It was themselves all season.
For sure. And again, we're rolling into the Super Bowl. I mean, we don't know the outcome of the Landon Dickerson injury, the elbow thing, but either way, he's got 2 weeks to clean it up.
I think he's going to be fine.
He'll be fine. We're going to start 22 out of 22 starters in the Super Bowl,
which is
unheard of. Which, by the way, I'm watching the Chiefs game, and they are losing starters by the minute.
They are, and you know what? I don't know like what other Eagles podcasts you guys listen to. I listen to Eagle Eye podcast with Ruben Frank and Dave Zangaro. And they were always really hard on Nick Sirianni's practices.
Techniques and everything, yeah.
Because of how short the practices are. And Ruben Frank even said this last week. He's like, listen, I've been hard on Nick Sirianni for his short practices.
Wrong.
I was wrong. This is why late in the season you have these short practices. These guys are fresh.
Mm-hmm.
They're fresh. Yeah, I'm excited, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited.
It's great. We're going to talk about it again this week. We're going to have the weekly report. We're going to talk about basically storylines.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit because now the long wait, 2 weeks until the Super Bowl. So, this week felt like forever, but this wait for the Super Bowl is going to be absolutely agonizing. But again, Eagles get the win 31-7. They're going to the Super Bowl. And we'll be here to just, keep talking about it. And maybe we'll get a guest on sometime this week. But with that, we're going to just say goodbye, but say goodbye in a very happy
NFC Championship flavored.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.